Hello whiskey lovers and welcome to another one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings. Let's go to the seaside and catch some fresh air. That's what Dearly Beloved said this morning. What she actually meant was let's catch some cold air because it's freezing out here at the seaside, but nevertheless a beautiful day. And today I would like to talk to you about not one whiskey but two, both bottled in the same series. Club 23, a Belgian bottler, has in fact a series called Mobsters on Mopeds. And what's the idea behind it? On the label you will see a well-known person, or maybe not so well-known, astride a moped, a scooter. And it's always a different type of scooter, whatever. What's important in this case is that it's always a single cask at cask strength. And today I would like to try two. Come with me. The first whiskey we will try is this Macduff, 13 years old, and on the label you will see the Harley Davidson Topper. Harley Davidson Topper? That is probably the most un-Harley Harley ever produced. In the 1960s, about 3,000 of these were produced, but they didn't sell well, so they were discontinued. Now anyway, that's not really important. What is important is what we have inside the glass, and I got a sample from the boys from Club 23, so I don't have to open my bottle immediately. Now, the Macduff, 13 years old, 2011, has matured on a sherry hogshead, which explains this beautiful color. But this is bottled, and mind you, this is important, 60.8% ABV. That's not for the faint-hearted. A Macduff, 13 years old, 2011, at 60.8 from a sherry hogshead. Look at that beautiful color. Let's give this one a go on the nose. First I get leather and something umami which I cannot quite pinpoint. Might it be roast beef? There's a hint of rubber in there, but not disturbing. And that surely must come from the sherry cask. I find it quite tricky to find fruit, but with a little patience and some goodwill, I do get some sultanas, maybe some plums in the background, rum raisins, but it's working. It's the leather that dominates, in my opinion. Kumquats, it's okay on the palate. It's deliciously oily, but I have to say, the alcohol is pretty well integrated because remember, 60.8, and I'm like, fine, I don't need any water, so quite well integrated indeed. But it is quite spicy. I get black and even some chili peppers in there. I get a bit of cloves, a bit of aniseed even, and then the fruit is quite overpowered by those spices, although I do get again those raisins, those plums, a bit of kumquats. So there is a bit of fruit in there, but in my opinion, it's a bit overpowered by the ABV on the one hand and the spices from the wood on the other. Oh well. On the finish. That's a long, warm, and mostly a dry finish towards the end. It really leaves the mouth completely dry. I'm like, give this man a glass of water. So it's not an easy malt, to be honest. It's quite sturdy, it's quite powerful, it's quite spicy, and it's drying, and it's a bit work to find the fruit in this one. So a difficult malt, to say the least. But hey, not to worry, we still have that other one to look forward to. So come on, there's another bottle. And this is the second bottle I would like to try today. This is their Glen Elgin, 11 years old, 2013. And you might not know this young lady, this old lady on the label. This is Leontine Pelsmakers. That name might not mean a thing to you, but in Belgium, she's big news. She's Mrs Winkle. She's actually the founder of what is now today a big catering company in Belgium called Van Eckelpoel. She founded the company in the 40s. She worked hard and she had beautiful ice cream. Anyway, I digress. She is sitting astride a British Bond B4 scooter. Right, anyway, let's give this one a go. I have another sample bottle to empty into my glass. This is from a former STR cask. So STR, shaved, toasted, recharged. So a rejuvenated cask. And this is bottled at a whopping 53.9% ABV. A Glen Elgin, and I'll have you know that Glen Elgin is in fact a distillery that primarily creates single malt for the Johnny Walker blends. But here we have a single cask that was saved that blending fate. Let's give this one a go. A deep golden color and it clings to the glass. So I think this is going to be quite oily indeed. Let's give this one a go. The Glen Elgin, 11 years old, 2014, on the nose. This is wonderfully fruity. In fact, it's pleasantly sweet. I get fresh pastries, apricot pastry to be honest. There's also a slight sweet and sour note like grapefruit, oranges in the lead, all kinds of citrusy notes to be honest. And then there's also a little bit of a herbal note that does not disturb but makes it quite unique in fact. And slowly but surely it evolves towards some tropical fruit indeed, with oranges and mangoes leading the way. This is a lovely, lovely nose on the palate. It's beautifully creamy. It is fruity again. It is very fruity, instantly very, very fruity indeed. Again, citrus at the front, but then also some pineapple, some peach, some mango, even some zespri in there. So it's actually flirting with the tropics. And then there's also a bit of spiciness from the wood, but not overly so. So it allows the spirit to shine, the fruitiness of Glen Elgin to shine indeed. What I do get, and which is a bit of a surprise, is a bit of fleur de sel, giving it a salty edge that nicely counterfeits that sweetness, that tropical fruity sweetness indeed. Beautifully, beautifully balanced. Does not need water at all on the finish. That's a beautiful finish. It is very pleasant. It is sweet. It is long. It is warm. I really like this. If Leontine would ever have had the chance to put her hands on this bottle, I'm sure she would work it out in her homemade ice cream. I'm definitely sure about that. Well, two very different releases from Club 23, that Belgian bottler, in their Mobsters of Mopeds, Mobsters on Mopeds series. And I have to say, I really like the Glen Elgin. And I have this gentleman's agreement with Club 23 that whenever they release a single cask bottling, I get a bottle. Let's keep that going. And that, my friends, is all for this Whisky Rambling from the beautiful Blankenberge at the Belgian coast. And I hope to see you at one of Mark's Whisky Ramblings real soon. And until then, may the malt be with you. Bye-bye.